Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue.
Speak life.
Death and life in the power of the tongue. Live your life, love Christ, do your best to
Speak life.
Hello and welcome back to another amazing episode of the Speak Life podcast. We are so excited to have you with us for another amazing week. I am your host, Minister Phoenix, alongside my beautiful wife and amazing co-host.
Hey, wonderful people.
Yes.
Welcome to the Speak Life podcast. This is your co-host, the one and only Sheikah. We are so happy you're here with us.
Yes, we are happy to be back at it. If this is your first time, you haven't been listening to us, tune in, like, subscribe, comment to be a part of the conversation. That's how you tune in. You put in your comment, tell us what you think, and we gonna respond to it. So
yes,
make sure you drop those comments. Let us know what you're thinking about these episodes that we're doing. You know, if you are part of our faithful listeners, our fan base who tunes in week after week, and even when we miss a week, you still coming back. We love y'all. Seriously.
We love you guys.
Like, honestly, we really do love you guys. And it's been a crazy few weeks.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It has been a crazy
I feel like we get out of
weeks.
school and it's like the business just
Yeah,
starts.
it's like out of
It's
school,
like nonstop.
but then you back in school.
Oh, my
It's
gosh.
like, so we ain't in school, but we kind of in school.
But we can't forget about the podcast.
Can't forget
like,
about
this
the
is
podcast. And then it's
This
like,
is like a therapy for us.
yes,
It's a therapy
and then it's
session.
like technical difficulties and issues and busy. It's just been a crazy few weeks.
Oh, gosh.
But we back.
But it's gonna
We
get
back.
better. It's gonna calm down.
Yeah, we back. So let's jump into it. Now this week we are going to jump into a topic that affects a lot of us. This is a non-discriminatory thing that hits all of us at one time or another, and that like person bandit we're gonna talk about is complacency. We talk about complacency, y'all. Getting comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, you know, we don't say it like that. We just say comfortable. But, you know, y'all say comfortable. Getting comfortable.
Y'all who?
You know who y'all talk about. You know, you and your West Indian peoples, y'all pronounce every single, like, syllable. Comfortable. I was like, what? Comfortable. Yeah, you know who the you I was talking about was. But we getting into it. Now, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous things that can happen to us is getting complacent or getting comfortable. And that's just my opinion. I'm no, scientist. I'm no specialist. But I think complacency is one of the most dangerous things that we can get ourselves into. That's just my opinion. Now, in your opinion, your expertise, is complacency a problem? And if so, why? If not, why? Is it a problem? Is it not a problem? If it is, tell me why. If it's not,
you know what? I feel like it is and it's not. Well, I feel like it is kind of in a way, because like you could get so complacent to the point where you don't want to do anything and you're just comfortable in what you're in. Like it could be a job, it could be even at church. Ooh. Just sitting doing nothing, or just sitting doing like one thing, and you're okay with just that. Don't get me wrong, it's okay to have a ministry where that's your ministry and you're just doing it and you're okay with it. But it has to be growing. It has to be something.
That right there. Say that again. It has to be what?
It has to be growing.
Growing.
You know, so something has to be going on. And there's a time, there's a season for everything. So there comes a time when you have to realize that I'm getting complacent and this is just like second nature, where I don't have to think too hard. I don't have to do much, and I'm just okay where I'm at. But is that good or is that bad? It depends on how one look at it.
But how do I want to know how you
look
I look
at it.
Yes.
Like, I don't like to be complacent. Like, for me, And I feel like that's why I'm always in school. Because I graduate and then I'm like,
school ain't
okay,
getting me again.
I'm done. But I want more. There's more that I want to do. And because I want to learn and I like to learn and I want to do more. And I just don't like to just feel like I'm just like complacent and like just sitting. I don't like to just feel like I'm not doing anything. So I feel like I have to, in order for me to get better, I have to keep learning. So I think it depends on the person. Like for me, I think it can be bad, but I also think it could be a good thing because some people you have.
It could be a good thing.
The reason why I said this.
Don't let me sway you. I'm just
okay. So
I'm doing my teacher moves over here. Don't mind me. Ignore me.
Because like some people, they're busybody, and it's like they like cannot just stick to one thing and focus on it and master it. It's like before they could even master it, they're onto another thing. So for me, that's why I said I feel like it depends because how are you with whatever you're doing? Are you like good at it? Are you trying to make sure that you do your best job? Or you're just like, well, I thought it was going to work out and I don't like the fact that this is not working out, so I'm done, and you're moving on to something else. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. It's different for me.
In that case, and I'm going to touch on the question, but in that case, I don't think that case is complacency. I think that case is just kind of like not seeing things going how you expected and then you just leave. That's not complacent. That's just crazy. People do this all the time. You know.
But one may think that that's what it is for them. That may be a definition for somebody.
Nah, that ain't complacency. That ain't. You get people who have a image in their mind of how things should go, and it's been my expertise. And this is one thing that I can say that I have proven for myself. The way that we see things going, a lot of times, God does not see them going that way.
No.
So if we are going to just jump ship whenever something doesn't look the way that we want it to look and it doesn't go the way that we want it to go, we're going to be jumping ship a whole lot of times because oftentimes it's been just my experience, my personal experience. It's like the way that I see things going, the way that I want to see like ministry, for example, going or like something that I'm doing, a project going, it oftentimes does not go that way. Now, in my opinion, I think complacency is a very dangerous thing. I think it is, and I said it before. I think it is very dangerous because when we get complacent in jobs, for example, we can just use jobs. When we get complacent in a job, we can really be missing out on our full potential in something that can be very satisfying. I'll use me, for example. When I was doing security,
use you.
I was comfortable.
The
monies was coming in. I was comfortable. I could get overtime when I wanted to get overtime. If I want a little more money in my check, I could do a little more work. But it's not something that I could grow from. It's not something.
Well, you could be like.
Honestly, it's not so. Okay, I will rephrase that. It's not something.
You could be a account manager.
It is not something that I wanted to grow in. I will say that. That is a better way of me putting it. So rather than going up, I was like, I'm just gonna stay where I am, and it was like it felt like that was it. And I was like, I don't really know where to go from here, so I'm just going to sit for a little bit. If I go and do another job, I'm going to have to start over. I'm going to be making less money. I mean, there was a lot of different, and it felt like complacency sometimes feels like a trap. Because it's like you was
trapped.
Yeah, I felt like I was trapped. It was like ceiling and just stuck. And it's like, and then when I got into teaching, it was like, it was just a whole different feel. And it was
you
like
find a new love, right?
Love for a job because I will say that is one thing, and it's a big. I think there's I say this that there is a really big difference between a job and a career. For me, I was not trying to make security my career. You know, I talk about this almost every other episode when we talk about all I wanted to do in life was become a police officer. And then that didn't happen. So then it was like, what next? What other career would I even seek satisfaction in? And it was like, then when I got into teaching, I was like, you know what? I love this. I was like, I could do this and I can grow in this. And if I want to, go different ways in this, it was an amazing thing. And it's like, had I stayed in that space, I would have never been able to see my potential in the role that I'm in now. So I remember I believe it was one of the CAMS graduation, either CAMS and MIP graduation one year. And the guy was speaking and he said, don't let your good kill your great.
But you got to tell people what's CAMS, what's MIP.
Oh yeah. So this is I be forgetting not everyone is looking through that Church of God lens. So in the Church of God, there's when you're going into ministry, you have the calling and ministerial studies where you're trying to figure out if, you going into ministry is something that you really want to do. If, what you're calling, what are you called to? What is it that, what kind of ministry would you be good at? So you go through the calling and ministerial studies. And then after that, you go through MIP, which is the ministerial internship program. That's when you got your license, you're a licensed minister, and now you're taking your license a step further to become ordained. So at the graduation this one year, there was this speaker. I can't remember his name. I can't remember where he came from. I can't remember much about him, but I do remember this one line that he said. Inside his commencement speech, he was like, don't let your good kill your great. And what he meant by that, he's like, so many times we get satisfied with just being good. We hop in ministries, we hop in jobs, we hop in like different positions that are good for us, but and we get comfortable in these places, and it hinders us for actually seeing our full potential and being as great as we can be in what we're called to be. So it's like, don't get complacent to the point where you're satisfied with where you are. You could be doing something, fantastic, but you should always want to see better. You should always want to see growth. You should always want to see some sort of improvement, and like you said, if we just in ministry, for example, you see this a lot where we get these times where we're just kind of like going through the motions, where it's like we're not seeing the growth, but we're sort of maintaining things. We're kind of maintaining things as they are. We're not really dropping off, but we're not really going anywhere either. We're just kind of there. And once you find yourself in that space where you're just kind of there, that's where you need to be like, all right, something's wrong. What do I do next? What next? That, at least for me, I feel like we have all of this potential sometimes. And when we get to a place where we feel comfortable, it's like we sit in that rather than trying to push past that and push further. But
I feel like
where we can get to. You can say whatever.
I don't want to cut you off, but like
it's your show too.
But I feel like sometimes people could make it seem like you're complacent, like. And the reason why I say this is like...
Ooh, please elaborate.
So, say, for instance, if you're in a job or you're in a ministry or whatever, you could have... Because... And I was having a conversation today, and it kind of reminded me that no man is an island.
Nope.
Where you need people, to help with jobs, with ministry, with whatever you're doing, right? To help things get to the full potential that it can get to, right? And I feel like sometimes you could have the greatest desire to get somewhere and want the greatest thing for whether it be a job, a ministry, but you can't do it alone.
No, you can't.
So therefore, it's like you become. It may seem like you become complacent because you seem like you're just comfortable, but you don't have the help that you need to get it to a certain degree, to a certain level. So now you're like, okay, well, what do I do? And it may look from the outside looking in like, oh, you're just comfortable because you're not doing X, Y, and Z. So I feel like it depends on, like, for some people that it may look like they're complacent, but it could be that that's not what it is.
In that instance, I will say this. From the outside looking in, things can look however they want to people, but like people know where they are.
Well, yes.
And that's what I will say about that. Like you said, no man is an island. If you are in a situation and you're no longer, because we all start off, at least for me, we start off, we hit the ground running. I hit the ground running. I hit it hard. I'm like, yes, we're going to get this. We're going to do this. This is how it needs to be. This is how it needs to be. And then if you get to a point where even when it's not where it needs to be, you stop trying. You're no longer trying at this point. Now you're in maintenance mode. Because there's a difference between pushing for growth and then just maintaining. So it's like if I have my grass, for example, I have my grass. My grass isn't the best looking grass out there, but I just continue to water the grass and just do the things that I need to make sure the grass doesn't die. That's maintenance. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to water it. I'm going to trim it. I'm going to water it. I'm just happy that the grass is there. That's maintenance. Now, if I'm trying to grow the grass now, I'm putting down the seeds. I'm putting in the work. I'm continuing to work to make sure that the grass gets greener, the grass gets richer, the grass gets fuller. It looks like something that you would see on a baseball field. Now, there's two different pieces to that. If I'm just sitting there happy with the grass looking beat up, I'm complacent with that. I don't want my grass to get any greener. I want my grass to just stay right there. It's like, I'm okay with that. That's not so bad. I'm good. And I stay there. I don't push it to grow. I don't push it to get better. I don't push it to look better. I'm just, I'm maintaining. We see that in ministries all the time. It's like you see people who are like, I'm perfectly fine.
On the job too.
I'm perfectly fine with just being here. I'm perfectly fine with just sitting here. I'm perfectly fine with just having our numbers be what they are.
I mean, also you see that with people in general.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even matter. Like if you're in church,
it doesn't matter what realm you're in, whether public, or public, private, or extracurricular, secular. In the church, it doesn't matter. You have people who are just perfectly fine and comfortable with just being average and mediocre. And I think we all have.
But okay. Because I'm still stuck on, I don't think it's all bad. Like, I don't think it's like, because there's people, like, I know that we know people on the job at work where they're okay with not being in the classroom. They're like, I don't want to be in the classroom. Like, I just want to be a para, or I want to, like, they're okay with that.
So here's my thing. And this is what I say about this. If you're comfortable in your job, like when I say comfortable, I don't want it to
be like complacent. It's not.
I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. Like me, I love being a teacher. I would not want to be an administrator. That's not something that I desire. But even being a teacher, there's still steps that you can take to grow as being a teacher.
Well, yeah.
You can learn more of how to be effective at what you're doing. You can figure out, best practices for teaching strategies. Same thing with a paraprofessional. Just because you don't want to be in a classroom doesn't mean that you're complacent. But if in a position and you enjoy your position, you should, in my opinion, you should take steps to make sure if I'm going to be a para, I am going to be the best para that I can be. It's not going to be I'm a para, I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to do the bare minimums. That's complacency. Okay. But when you in that position, you enjoy that position. Make it clear. Yeah, I'm just saying that, it's not. It's it's all about and growth comes in depending on who's looking at it. Growth comes in different ways.
Yeah.
Today I may be the teacher who just sits in the classroom and teaches. Next year I may be the teacher that sits in the classroom and teaches and starts building relationships and with students and with parents, and it's like you just see different steps on what you're doing to make yourself better. And I think that's the key of the internal of making yourself better at what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to make it clear because
I ain't trying to throw anyone, put anyone on blast. People like, what you talking about? I love my position. I ain't gonna change my position.
I just had to,
and then nothing you can tell me that no, I don't want you to change your position. You know, I just want you to be the best, at what you're doing. So if, people mention your name, and it's not about your position, but they're like, you know what? That is one of the best, whatever your position is, that I've ever seen in my life. They take passion in what they do. They're serious about what they do. They're very professional. There's things, there's accolades that can go along with your name when you are doing what it is that you enjoy doing well.
Yes. Now we clarify.
Not mediocre. I mean, I want you to be the best, and I'll put it like that. It's like, if you are content at shining shoes, be the best shoe shiner you could ever be. Find out, what kind of shoe shines they got out there to keep that shine on longer.
Yes.
Love it. Yes.
Love it. I just wanted to clarify,
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I didn't want anyone dragging me in the comments anyway. Like, hold up. When you talk about my position, I've been in this position 20 years.
So I got to put it out there.
And I love this position. You ain't good. Nothing you can tell me to change it, man. I'm vested. I'm waiting for retirement,
I had to make sure I put it out.
Don't shoot the podcast host. All right. All right, question. I got another question. Question. So, I don't think complacency is a problem. That's funny. For me, that's funny. But I get what you're saying and why you say it. So my question would be this. Are there some ways that we can identify when we are getting complacent? Are there ways that you can identify when you're getting complacent?
I know when.
I got some ways.
Like, for me, like, I know when I'm excited about something and I'm like, I got to get it. I got to do it.
Me too. Because it usually requires me doing stuff. I know when you're excited too.
So, like, for instance, school. You don't gotta do that for me.
No, I can't even do it for myself. You can't do it for you.
So I know that I wanted to learn more about the field. I wanted to understand more about mental illness, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I need to get into this field. And not only that, but like, I know that there was some struggles that I had when I was growing up, that left a lot of trauma that I have to deal with now. Mm-hmm. So therefore I'm like, I didn't have it or have anyone back then when I was growing up to help me through the struggles or to help guide me through the struggles. So therefore I decided that I'm going in that field because there's tons of people out there that I need to be able to help.
That's a calling.
So it's exciting for me. I'm excited about it. So now that I decide to go back to school, I'm like, this is what I need to do. So back up a little bit.
Rewind it just
yeah,
a
because
little
I'm
bit.
like kind of getting thrown off from what I'm really trying to say. So before then, I was like, I'm okay with just a bachelor's. I'm okay with just doing what I'm doing. I don't see the need to go back to school to do anything. But I started feeling complacent in a way where I'm like, just going through the motion, being okay with just what I have, until I realized, like, I look back, like, I'm looking like 10 years down the line, and I'm like, Shika, what are you trying to do with your life? Like, what are you trying to do? And when I asked myself that question, I couldn't answer it. And I'm like, what am I trying to do with my life? I'm asking myself back, like, what am I trying to do with my life? And it's kind of like I'm stuck. Well, I'm gonna keep working with these children.
Working with these kids.
I'm gonna keep doing youth ministry, even though, like, do I see myself doing that for like that many years more?
Hey, callings can change. You don't know what God is doing. Just stay faithful.
What am I doing? And it was a struggle. So that's when I was like, wow, I am comfortable until something happened where for instance, on the job, like my boss, they're getting on my nerve. I'm comfortable until something happened and like the fire comes underneath me, and I'm like, yeah, I need more. I need to open up my own practice.
Okay.
I want to do this. I want to do
Dr.
that.
Sheikah.
And now it's like, in order for me to do that, I gotta go back to school.
Back to school.
So therefore, it's like I was comfortable until I become uncomfortable. And that's when I'm like, yeah.
Comfortable until I became uncomfortable.
Yeah. And then I'm like, yeah, I can't.
I like that.
I gotta do something. So, and I feel like that's what happened with all the jobs that I have. Like, I'm comfortable until I realized that, because I was a security guard too. A security officer.
Yeah, correct. A security officer. Officer.
That is a security officer security too. Guard. And I was there, JJ Group. I was there working.
JJ, this is Sheikah speaking.
I was there working, and I would actually see all these college graduates, like younger than me, come. Well, were they younger than me? Or maybe around the same age at the time. Come in and they're like looking for internships, or they're looking for jobs or something like that. And I'm like, what am I doing with my life?
Uh-oh.
So then when I become aware, I'm like, you're like the same age as me. And I'm sitting here signing you in to go and find like a dream job or whatever it is. I'm like, Sheikah, what are you doing with your life? So then I'm like, and that's the first time I decided to go back to school, and I went to RCC, Roxbury Community College, right? And
for all of you people not in Massachusetts who have no idea what RCC stands for.
Yes, so I went there, and then when I got there, I was like, I'm gonna do nursing, and then so it's like, long story short,
I remember
every
nursing
job
Sheikah.
that I had, it's like I was excited. I went and did it, and then I'm there, and then I become like, something happened. It could be with a boss. It could be like a light bulb just went off, something, and I'm like, I need more. So like I kind of, I think I got put in like an uncomfortable position, and that's when I'm like, no, I gotta do something else.
And I think that for me is like, I think that's what God does when I start getting complacent. I feel like he just starts shaking stuff up. He's like, wake up. And I'm like, no. It's like, it reminds me of like if you have like an ant inside of a jar, and it's like just sitting there, just kind of like calm. But then you shake that jar, and the ant starts like, it's like, even when I was like going through security, it's like I was always still trying to get other jobs. It's like, let's try this federal law enforcement. Let's try joining the Secret Service. Let's try joining the Federal Reserve Police. Like I was still trying to get things. Then after a while, I was like, I guess I'm just gonna be stuck here for the rest of my life. It's like, and then you just get that feeling when you're like, I can't do this for the rest of my life. I refuse to do this for the rest of my life. Where you start thinking about, all right, where's my life going to be 10 years from now? Where's my life going to be 5 years from now? Am I just going to be this old, bald security officer sitting at this desk? Welcome, to the Prudential Center. May I have your ID? Checking people in, standing at an ID checkpoint. And don't get me wrong, for a stepping stone, that is a good spot to go.
Oh, it helped us along the way. Oh, gosh.
I worked the entire time going through school, doing night school to get through college. And it's like that job provided
it paid
for its time. But I think for things like that, it's definitely a season. But I think for me, my complacency piece comes where once I start waking up wondering if I have to go to work, it's time. It's time. Like,
so what does that mean? Because I still wake up and
no, not like that. Not like that. Like, don't get me wrong. You can.
I don't want to go to work.
A lot of us would love to be able to get paid for staying home. Like, if I could, no, I probably wouldn't want to be a stay-at-home dad, but I wouldn't be objected to.
I'd be a stay-at-home mom.
If you was balling and making that money, I'd be at home with world's #1 dad, smock on, baking cookies, having dinner ready, house clean for when the kids. Well, I'll go pick up the kids too. I'll be like the soccer dad, you know. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I'll still find ways to better myself, you know. But if that's what it is, that's what it is. But when I say, like, I'm talking about dreading having to go because of the fact that you feel like you're in a dead-end job, or you feel like, you know what, work is just not the best. That environment's just not the best for you. It's like, at that point, it's like, all right, it's time. It's time for a change. It is time for a change. Even if you're in a ministry and you're like sitting here and it's like, it just seems like it's going nowhere, like nowhere. And I'm not saying like it's going nowhere because, you know, you're not like putting in work. Like, if you're working hard at it and you're doing it and God's just not getting released, that's another story. But if you're just sitting there and it's just kind of like you just going through the motions, it's like you don't feel like you're growing. You don't feel like you're finding joy in what you're doing. You don't have that desire to do that anymore. Then it may be time for change.
But then, okay, so while we're on this topic,
it may be time for change.
While we're on this topic, like, so okay, you find yourself in this position where you're like, I don't get joy from this anymore, or it's just like I'm going through the motion. I just don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm not feeling it anymore. Then what do you do in that situation where there's no one else to take on what you're doing, or there's no one else to or you don't know how to give it up? Like, what do you do? Like, you have, and I'm talking specifically like to a job or people in church, like, where sometimes you're in a position and you're just like, I just feel like I just don't want to do this anymore, or I'm just done. Like, what does that person do in that situation where you just feel like you're just going through the motion?
Like, honestly, in my opinion, and this, I'm like I said, no expert. I just speaking my opinion. This is the opinion reflected by Minister Phoenix, not being endorsed.
No, because I asked the question because I feel like it happens all the time.
No, it does happen all the time, and this is what happens. I feel like a lot of times in church, and don't get me wrong, I love the organization of church. I love being a part of a body of believers, you know, who come together, who worship, who seek to see God's kingdom being spread on earth. But what tends to happen a lot of times is when people get in positions, we tend to feel like they have to stay in that position for the entire time of them being in ministry. And what will happen is this, because a lot of times, like, people don't realize that callings can change. What do you mean? I don't know if that's biblical, Mr. Phoenix. I don't know. Is that biblical? I will prove it to you that callings can change. Mm-hmm. God will use one calling to push you into another calling. He doesn't keep you in the same place at the same time all the time.
So therefore, you shouldn't look at it as if it's something negative. Just look at it as something, you know, that's leading you up to a better potential. Or?
Yes, I will give one example, then I'll answer your question. All right, one example. Look at the life of David.
Okay.
David started off as a shepherd boy. He was a shepherd. That's what he was doing. When he got called, God didn't see him as a shepherd boy, David. He saw him as a king. He said, Samuel, go down to Jesse's house. I picked me a king. But David was a shepherd. But David didn't stay a shepherd. David went from a shepherd. Then after he was shepherding the sheep, he was faithful with shepherding the sheep. Mm-hmm. He went, slew Goliath. There's like, oh my gosh, who is this here? After he was anointed, he went back to the sheepfold. He didn't go to the palace. Went, slayed Goliath, still went back to the sheep. They came and got him to now he's a shepherd. Now he becomes Saul's musician, playing because Saul had the evil demon and he couldn't sleep. So David used to play for him, and Saul was like, oh, Sue. So now he went from being a shepherd. Now he's a musician. He's no longer shepherd, and he's called into the service of the king. Then he goes from being the musician to Saul's armor bearer. So now whenever Saul goes into battle, David's going into battle with him. And then eventually through that, after God took him through a really rough patch, then he becomes king. So you see where one calling catapults you into different things. In my opinion, this is the thing. A lot of times we don't exercise the wisdom that we should when it comes to ministry positions. And what I mean is this. Oftentimes you will have people, because we've been shown that we're supposed to stick to this ministry for the entire time, whether we love it or not, excuse me, whether it's going good or not, it gives us this pressure that this is what I gotta do. Mm-hmm. This is what I gotta do. But it really does take wisdom to know when you no longer have the passion for something, you no longer have the desire to do it. And I truly believe that God would rather you pass on that ministry to someone who will do it, or even open it up for someone to be able to do it, than you sit with that thing and let it die.
That's true. Yeah, drink some water.
Oh, thank you. You're so nice. I just need a swig.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yes.
I don't think God would want you. No. I don't think God would do that. And honestly, I think once you get to a point where you're feeling that way, I think that is a serious conversation that you just need to have with your leader. We all have people over us. I think that is a conversation that you need to have. And sometimes you'll run into a leader who won't understand it.
But exactly, because I've had a situation before where, I forgot what position I was in years ago, and it's like, I'm like, this is not something that I want to do, because I remember I used to wear many hats. Yep. Take one, take off.
Take a hat off, put a hat on.
So it's like, at the time, I'm like, I did not feel called to do this. Or maybe if I felt called at one point, then the season ended. And I didn't want to, didn't feel like I was called anymore. And it's like, no, you could do it. You did it before. You could do it. And it's like, I'm telling you, I don't want to do it. So then I think it was Sunday school. I was a Sunday school teacher.
Man, I was a Sunday school teacher.
And I didn't want to do it anymore. And at this point, I would come to church late every Sunday.
Just so you ain't got to do Sundays.
And it's like, and then you would hear, oh, Sunday school teachers are coming in late. You would hear from the superintendent, Sunday school superintendent, Sunday school teachers are coming late. They're not even coming to take their kids to teach them. And it's like, didn't I tell y'all I don't want to do this?
This is not something
and
that I
wasn't purposefully trying to
be malicious,
to come late or anything like that. I was like, oh, Sunday school teaching out. Like, I'm done.
Checked out.
I'm checked out. Listen. So then it's like you get something being forced on you. And you're like, I'm telling you, I don't know how else to let you know. The time has come where I cannot do this anymore. Like, I don't have the passion for it. It's not something that I want to do, and I'm not going to be effective at it.
And I think any leader should be able to understand that. If I come to you as someone that is under you, and I tell you, like, listen, like, I feel like I have served my purpose in this ministry for my time. I don't think I'm effective at this. I don't think this is something that I'm passionate about or I want to do anymore. I would like to, give this up or, pass this along to someone who may want to do it. I think even if there is no one in place, I was always told, you work yourself out of a job.
But I think that was
not having someone in place is probably the hardest part. But I don't think any leader who knows how a person is feeling about serving in a certain capacity, if they come to them and they tell them these things, that they would, in their heart of hearts, with wisdom, think that it's a good idea to keep a person in a position like that.
Yeah. So it was, it was, so that's when I'm like, there's certain times where you're in a position and you're complacent because it's like not because of
you're being forced to be complacent. It's like, I don't want to be complacent, but you forcing me to be. You forcing me to be like this. You forcing me to be like this. That is a rough situation because I've seen similar things. We've seen similar things where people are like, you know what? I think it's time for me to move on from this. And we're back.
So I feel like it comes with maturity too, because it's like, I think I remember being in a certain position, like being in youth ministry back in the day, like, a long time. This situation actually where we had like a secretary for the youth ministry. We had like a treasurer. And I remember one of the young people that we had in place for one of those said something like, oh, I didn't want to do that anymore. Like, I didn't feel comfortable. I don't feel like and I'm like, no, you could do it. You keep trying to encourage them. Like, you could do it. No, you could do it. And it's like, then when they don't want to take notes or they don't want to show up for the things, and you're like, wait, what's going on?
Like, what's
you're
going
like,
on?
You're supposed to be here, like, and they're like,
but I told you I didn't want to do this.
So in a situation like this, I could look at a leader and say, maybe because we were their leader and we were doing that, or I was doing that. So I feel like it really comes with maturity to understand that it's okay if a person comes to you and said, I can't do this.
That's
Respect
true.
it.
I think that does come with like a maturity piece, and even working in ministry long enough, you come to
understand,
see how things kind of play out in a few different ways, and it kind of helps you to understand where people are coming from, especially when you've been in that situation. Like, okay, I get it. Sometimes we have those moments, so we just have to try to be as supportive as possible. And I think that and
helps. Just pray like God will send somebody else.
And that is the big piece. God will definitely send somebody. We just have to be open, and even trying to make sure we groom up the right people when we're in these positions to be able to take over if need be.
And I wanna touch on that a little bit more because it's like, I feel like, especially in church, or in I keep saying church and like your secular job or whatever, but I feel like sometimes you have people walk off the job because they're like, they're not being heard when they're saying, oh, I can't do this, or I'm done, or whatever. And it's vice versa. Like in church, I feel like you'll have people who will leave and just go somewhere else without telling the pastor, or because it's like, I'm trying to tell you I don't want to do this, and you're trying to push me in this, or you're trying to get me to do this. But I feel like it's, people probably feel like it's easier just to get up and leave.
Ooh, that one's a
without
hard one.
coming and saying certain things because they already tried to tell you and you're not getting it. So therefore, I would just rather leave where I don't have to hear you forcing me into staying.
And that's the thing. Stuff. If you are trying to force someone to do something that they don't want to do, you have to remember these are a whole grown person. These are not, little kids you playing with in the workplace or in a ministry. These are grown people. Some of them have their own children. So it's like, if they're telling you like, listen, I can't do this, and you don't want to accept their I can't do this, then it's kind of like, what they say in like preschool, you get what you get. Don't get upset because it's like.
But even I just thought about something. Even complacency in marriage, or
that one's a good one. No, you can't just skip over that. You can't just skip over that. We got to jump into that. Complacency in a relationship.
Yeah, like there's so many people who just get so comfortable in a relationship where they just allow the other partner or the other person to just treat them anyhow and to do whatever they want to them because they feel like
I've been in it for so long.
or like I'm doing you like I don't know what it is.
All I know is this, and this is what I'll talk about: complacency in relationships. This is one thing that I have learned. I'm gonna give you guys the shortcut so you don't have to go through
Why
this.
don't we do that for another episode?
Well, I just want to give them this one piece. I want to get just this one piece.
All right, I think that should be another episode.
It will. I'll just say this one piece.
Few more people on
I'll
here.
just say this one piece, and I will leave it alone. No matter what type of relationship you are in, whether friendship, whether marriage, whether just a casual dating situation where you're courting, all relationships require one thing: work.
Yes, we're gonna leave it
and
like
I'm
that.
leaving it like that. We ain't even gonna touch that one anymore. That's gonna be a mean episode when we coming back to that. No, we are coming back to that. Complacency in relationships. Yeah. That one I don't even want to go on with this. Let me stop. All right. Next question. We are winding up. So how can we get out of being complacent? When you find yourself in a when you find yourself comfortable, you find yourself going through the motions, you find yourself just kind of like sitting there and just living it out. How can we get out of that?
I think you always have to take the first step. You always have to try to. It doesn't matter because it's not gonna be easy.
It's never
for
easy
you to like just get up and just take that step. But you have to be. I know I said this before in one episode. You have to be sick and tired and sick and tired
of being sick and tired. It's worth saying it again. You can say it again. No, because it really do be like that though.
You have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired of being in the same position.
You gotta be tired of it. It's true. You can tell them again if you want to.
To the point where you gotta be like, you know what? I just don't want to just be stuck here. I'm just tired of feeling comfortable. Like, what am I doing? Like, for me, it's always like, Sheikah, what are you doing with your life? What are you doing? And someone may look on the outside and be like, how can you ask yourself, what are you doing? Like, you're just doing a lot.
Just like this. What are you doing with your life,
like,
boy?
they could probably like, you're doing a lot, but for you, the individual, for me, I may not feel like, I don't feel like I'm doing what I'm called to do, or I'm living up to my full expectation
and potential. Yes,
that's what the word I'm looking for. My full potential of what God has created me to be.
Woo,
so therefore, like, you have to know you to say, okay, what I'm doing is not enough for me.
You know what? And that reminds me. Another Bible scripture, real quick. Prodigal son. He's like, he was out there. He's like feeding those pigs, and he's like, hold up. He's like, hold up, 1 minute. He's like, look at all these servants my father got. He's like, and I'm sitting here. He's like, they got food and they got food to spare. I'm sitting here looking at what these pigs is eating. He's like, nah, you literally got to come to grips with yourself and be so tired of your situation. Like, yo, I am not going to sit in this nonsense any longer. I need better.
Yeah, and just know that when things, and this is the hard part, when things start happening, whether you're on your job, you're in your home, you're at work, you're at church, when things start happening, kind of look at the brighter side and say, you know what? Because for me, if I didn't start having fire underneath my skin to say, okay, like with my boss start acting up or something, I wouldn't have even decided to go and look for another job. I would have just been there, having fun, comfortable, happy in what I'm in. But when situations start happening or situations start being uncomfortable, that's when, for me, I take a move.
Oh.
So therefore, there's times for me, I know that God have to allow something like that to happen. Even in my last job, like, my boss was annoying.
Lighting that fire,
she was like, boy. Just driving me up the wall. And if she wasn't doing that, I would have still been in that position.
So we should be thankful for the opposition.
Be thankful, because you know what? We not only that we're learning from it, but it's giving us room to get better and to get to where, you know, our full potential. It's really opening doors for us.
That might be a word in itself. Your opposition is a wake-up call that it is time to move on. That's serious right there. I never really thought of the be grateful for the opposition piece. I might have to put that in the description.
But it's not
be grateful
easy.
for the no. It's not.
It's not easy,
It's not.
and it doesn't feel good. But I've come to realize, even for myself, when the opposition comes, I feel like that's when breakthrough for me just start happening.
Woo! Oh my, that's a gem.
And the reason
when opposition comes, breakthrough's coming, baby.
Because the reason why I say that is because like I really go into another realm of prayer.
Ooh.
Where it's like the devil is scared, everybody's scared, because I'm just like I'm touching heaven. Ooh. And there's nothing nobody could do about
Nothing
it.
You can
so
do
therefore,
about
it's like I start seeing the oppositions. I go into like some crazy war room kind of prayer, and breakthrough just start happening.
See that?
So
you should be you watching this. You should be thankful for the opposition.
Yeah, be thankful.
That one's a hard one.
It's not easy, but it won't last always.
It will
get better.
Always.
Joy will come in the morning.
Oh man. See, there's a lot happening in this episode right now. We done took it some places. We done really took it some places. So we gonna close on this thought right here. We gonna give them some advice. You know, we gotta give y'all some advice. We gotta give y'all some gems. I know y'all been I hope y'all been taking notes. I know y'all ain't been taking notes. I ain't even gonna stop with y'all. I know they ain't been taking notes. I know they ain't been taking notes.
Never know.
Listen, this is how I know that they don't. Half of them don't even got their alerts on that the episode's gonna drop. But we love y'all anyway. But we gotta give them some gems. If we could give them some advice that, you know, our listeners, for our ones who may be struggling with complacency, don't know what to do, how to get out of it, but they really want better. What can we give them? What can we leave them with?
Gotta leave them with something. Like, take the first move.
Take the first step.
Take the first step. No matter how hard it is, just be hopeful and just know, like, you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Be like the little engine that could. I think I can. Yeah. I think I can.
Just do it.
I think that's good. I think if I could give them any gem of advice to help them, the ones who may be struggling with, you know, being complacent or stuck in a spot where they feel like they're comfortable and they just don't know how to get out of it, I think the first step would be reevaluating where you want to see your life. Like, where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? Once you figure out that where you're trying to get to, then after that, think about that first step.
Yeah.
How am I going to take that first step?
Follow your intuition.
I don't got no intuition. You're my intuition. You're my intuition. That's how I got into teaching. You my intuition. Babe, I think you should do this. Me? What? No. Did it anyway.
You should.
Did it anyway.
You don't see what I see in
Did
you.
It anyway. That's my intuition. They be like, trust your intuition. I'd be like, hey babe, what should I do? What should I do?
Like,
that's my intuition right there. You know, but I think identifying where you're trying to get to, sometimes we have to take that time to just step back for a minute and just really identify like where we want to go, what we're trying to do, where we're trying to get to. And then once we figure that out, we're like, all right, this is what my first step needs to be. Figure out where you're trying to go, identify your first step, and then take it. Figure out where you want to go, identify your first step, and then take it. Don't wait on it. Don't wait on it. Take that first step.
We rooting for y'all.
We rooting for y'all. We rooting for y'all. We praying for y'all because we want y'all to be at your best. We want y'all to get where you're trying to get to because, you know, we want everyone to win. So, you know, we love y'all, man. This has been an amazing episode. I really feel I felt this one. This one.
All right.
So, yeah, we love y'all. Remember, death and life are in the power of the tongue.
And make sure you
speak life.
We
love y'all.
We love you guys.
Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget to buy the book.
Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to buy. You better buy that book.
A Memoir of God's
Grace. Go check out the website, 3roadscollide.com.
All right. We love you guys.
Have a great week.